Hello, my friends. I have an AI project to share with you today. I've spent the past several weeks developing it, staying up into the night, and I am pretty impressed with the results. So essentially, it's an AI bot that's trained on almost all of our YouTube videos, and it should be able to answer questions kind of like how I would answer questions while linking to specific time-stamped parts of my YouTube videos that might give people more of the information that they're looking for. So I'm going to demo this for you. Let's take a look here. So I'm in our community space because that's what I've hooked this bot up to right now. And I'm going to pull this question from a YouTube comment from Hajar here. Hajar wants to know how to re-enter the field after taking some time away from it. So I'm going to paste this question here. I'm going to publish it. And now I'm going to give it a minute or two. I'll refresh it and I'll check back in with you once we get there. Okay, so it's been a little under a minute and we got a response here. So as you can see, Devlin AI responded. It's this little pixelated version of myself. And yeah, it's encouraging. It's suggesting to check out our Become an Instructional Designer playlist. It mentions if it wants to see how we're developing our instructional design courses, it can check out this behind the scenes video. And it links to these time-stamped points in the video. Not that this one needed a timestamp. And then, yeah, it also mentions focusing on the positive aspects of the field as you reconnect with this career. And it links to a video where I talked about dealing some of like the negativity I've been facing in the field. So yeah, so it links to these videos. It gives people opportunities to learn more directly from me if that's something they want to do. And I'm going to show you exactly how we built it. So this video is going to get a little bit technical. It's also going to get philosophical because there have been some moments where I'm questioning like, what role do I play as a content creator, and like coach and consultant and all of that in an AI world. And I'm sure some of you have similar questions around that. And the video will also get a little bit personal because, yeah, it's my birthday. On the day this releases. It's Friday right now. My birthday is on Tuesday. And yeah, I've been going through a lot the past few weeks. So I'm going to update you all on that and share a little call to action. So let's dive into it. So to kick things off, I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory. So Sabrina Gonzalez, an instructional designer on our team, she came to me and said, Devlin, I'm working on this really cool portfolio project. Well, she didn't use these words, but she's like working on a pretty impressive portfolio project. And she wants to be able to bring these like AI generated talking heads that can say personalized things to the user in the course. So essentially like an AI coach that's speaking your name and giving you specific feedback based on how you did in the e-learning project. But to make this happen, she needed to use a server because to generate these talking heads, you need to communicate with a specific like API, and it's saying you can't do that from the browser in an insecure kind of way. You need to do this securely. So just to show you what I'm talking about, here's this project that Sabrina's working on. It's still under development, so it's gonna be even better, and I'm sure she'll do a YouTube video on that when the time comes. But here's like an example of one of these talking heads. Let's see. Let's talk to Morgan here.
Hi there, I'm Morgan Hart, lead veterinary technician here at Peck Connect Care.
So as you can see, we're going to be generating personalized versions of those in this course. And then we start this chat and it's like an AI enabled e-learning project. Again, it still has some development. It still is under development, so there's like some testing text boxes on the page, as you can see. But yeah, Sabrina has some big plans with this. It's definitely a technical undertaking, but yeah, this is all AI generated. It's like an AI role-playing experience, so stay tuned for that. But long story short, I've been wanting to learn how to use servers in web development for a long time. So y'all have seen me work with like XAPI. You may have even seen my tutorials on how to implement like ChatGPT and Articulate Storyline. And what I've always had to say is, yeah, this approach I'm showing you, it's not the most secure because your, a special API key is being exposed in the client. So a tech-savvy developer could inspect your code and see your API key and then use it to generate stuff of their own, which is going to charge you money. So we don't have those limitations anymore. So I've gotten very good and comfortable at working with servers over the past few weeks, and we can do really cool stuff now, like, yeah, generate these personalized talking heads in a storyline course, or securely use AI in storyline courses in production environments following best practices. So it's exciting with what I've learned. I feel like I'm some kind of like magician or something now with like any kind of making like multiplayer storyline courses, for example, where two people can be going head to head in like a trivia battle. Like all sorts of really cool stuff is possible now. Even like building custom web apps, like I'm going to talk about. That's kind of the direction I'm going to take this Devlin AI thing. So yeah, so where was I? Okay, so that's when I started diving down this server journey. And I want to clarify something with you all, because this can be kind of confusing when I talk about servers and clients. So a server is a computer that accepts a request, processes some data, and then sends back a response. So a server isn't some nebulous thing. It's basically like a little machine sitting on a data rack in a big data warehouse, or it can be your own personal computer, or it can be like a little computer in your closet that doesn't even have like a monitor hooked up to it. You just program it with some code essentially. And then the client is the browser. So these are two important concepts. So your browser, the client, is going to send a request to a server. The server will process some stuff. You never see what's on the server, and then it will send you back some data that you can then display to the user. So that's why it's so secure, because what's on that server never actually makes it into the client, which is what the user has access to. So that's what I'm talking about there. And then I've also been using serverless functions. So that's kind of taking things a step further, where you can write some code that lives on this big server, but then you only pay for the amount that function is used. So that's kind of how a lot of these modern web apps are created. Instead of paying a set amount of money to have a server running every month, I can pay a fraction of a penny every time someone triggers this specific function that needs to be called. So it's pretty cool. I'm using something called Vercel. But why don't I show you a bit behind the scenes on how this thing that I built actually works. So let's see. Okay, so the first thing I did is I got this N8N instance up and running on my own server. So this is where I'm paying like Amazon Web Services $12 a month for my own little piece of a computer out there in one of their data centers. And then N8N is this like open source automation software. So I got this up and running. I learned a lot about like Docker and how to actually use like the command line to set up and run a server, which was really cool and interesting. But then once I actually started using it, I realized like it's actually slower doing this than actually writing the custom code. So times have changed. You don't need to be like an expert software engineer to use code to do your bidding. And I hope that's going to be one of the takeaways from this video, even though we are getting a little bit technical. But let me just show you how this works. Try your best to bear with me. Maybe after this video, if you're really interested, watch it again, because I'm going to explain some more of the concepts later in the video. But here's how it works. So again, I ditched this, but it's cool if you want to check it out. So in Zapier, I made it so that every time there's a new circle post in this Ask Devlin AI space, it will take the content of that post and send it to my code via this webhook right here. And then my code will return a response, and then it will create a comment on that circle post with my response. And circle is what I'm using for the community space here. So that's how it works. So as you can tell, most of the fun is happening in the code. I'm not going to click on this because it has my API key and there's not much to see. It's just a simple post request, but it sends that post request to this route right here. So for context, this code editor right here is called Cursor. It's really cool because it has an AI, it has AI built into it. So you can see I've hooked it up here with Claude 3.5 Sonnet, which is the best coding model right now. I can ask it questions and it can make updates in my code for me. So it took me a while to find my way to this, but yeah, this is a very powerful way to code without much experience. Anyway, so here's my function. So when it receives this post request, it takes the request, which again, in this case will be the content from the community post. It will turn it into a variable that we can work with. And then it will create an embedding. Okay, I'm going to explain what that is shortly. And then once it creates that embedding, it's going to query my vector database for similar embeddings. Okay, so I think I need to explain this right now. So embeddings and vector searches are used for like semantic search. So you know how when you look up something on Google and you're like, when you look stuff up, it kind of knows the meaning of what you're saying without you using those exact words. That's like semantic search. So that's similarly powered by these kind of vectors. I'm going to show you an example. It's kind of slightly complicated, but I'm sure you all can follow along here. So here's the main idea. So a vector database. So we're going to convert text into a vector. Okay, a vector looks something like this. I'm going to open up my vector database right here. Let's see. Did I actually fetch these? It's not actually displaying the vector right now. Let me fetch some of them. Okay, here we go. So I fetched some of these little chunks. So these vectors represent chunks of my YouTube video. So this right here, these values, this is the vector. And these values, I think there's like 1,500 of these numbers, okay? And these numbers represent the semantic meaning of this content. So as you can see, this looks like a clip from my Gagne's 9 event YouTube video. And it says the 5th event is to provide guidance. This involves scaffolding the learning experience, especially at the beginning. And then it goes on and on. So these numbers right here represent all of this content. All right. Now, when the user asks a question to this circle bot, we turn the user's question into a series of these numbers as well. And then we have the database kind of match up the most relevant YouTube video chunks to the user's question. So it sounds kind of abstract, but yeah, like the previous way to do this or doing this without semantic search would be having to rely on like keywords, for example. So like if the user mentions Gagne's 9 events, then talk about Gagne's 9 events. But because we're using a vector store like this, we can instantly almost get the most relevant pieces from my YouTube videos to the user's question. So that's what's going on here. If you have questions about this, feel free to drop a comment. But let's take a look back at the code. So again, what's going on here is we're taking the user's question and turning it into a vector using OpenAI's text embedding 3 small model. It's a pretty cheap model, but it basically just turns the text into all of those numbers. From there, we query Pinecone, which is that vector database, and we say, hey, give us back the most relevant vectors based on this vector that we just created, right? So then we'll send back like 5 or so of these different chunks. I'll talk about how I got the chunks in there in the first place after this. But yeah, so then we have those chunks and we're going to give those chunks to this AI prompt, or this prompt that we're going to send to an OpenAI model. So we're telling it, you're Devlin AI, an information retrieval expert. Use context from these YouTube video summaries to provide actionable advice tailored to the user's question. And then we give some formatting requirements, some instructions, some guidelines, an example response format, some resource links. I can build this out further, of course. And then we bring in this variable that has all of those YouTube clip summaries that we just got from the vector store. So we're basically arming our AI assistant with the most relevant context from my YouTube videos based on the user's question. So hopefully that's easy to follow, but yeah, as you can see, so it's going to have all this information. So if it deems that, okay, yes, this chunk is very relevant to the user's question about Gagne's events, it's the AI is going to have this content. It's also going to know when the video was published. It's going to know who the speaker was. It's going to know at what timestamp this clip of the video actually starts at. And then it's going to know the video's title as well. So we're passing all of this information for each one of these chunks into this prompt that we're using that we then send off to ChatGPT, essentially. We're using GPT-4o here. We're using a really low temperature because we don't want the response to vary too much from the YouTube clip summaries. The closer this number is to 1, the more creative the model is, and the closer it is to 0, the more consistent the model is and the more predictable it is. So for an app like this, where we're giving it all of the information it should need right here, we don't need it to be super creative, especially if I have enough YouTube videos to power this to make sure it's all relevant. And then once we get that response from OpenAI, we return it to, we actually respond with this, and then it gets sent back over there to Zapier, and it creates the comment. Now I would have been able to do this with custom code as well, but Circle makes you be on like their enterprise plan to use webhooks directly. But yeah, that's an idea of what happens when you create that little post in Circle. All of this other stuff happens behind the scenes. And as you can imagine, I'll pretty easily be able to rig this up to a front end so that you can have like a chatbot experience without having to rely on the delay from the community space. So lots of different ways we can take this. Like I said, I feel kind of like some kind of magician now because I feel like anything technical is possible at this point. And part of that is because of AI. So here's how I've been doing this, right? Like I had coding background coming into this, but this is my workflow situation and what I would recommend. Like I'm using 80 to 90% of all of my time learning this new stuff with a large language model. So I'll break down like which ones I use for which things a little bit later in the video, but it's teaching me new concepts. It's writing code for me. It's answering every single one of my questions. I'm still doing like 5 to 10% Googling and 5 to 10% watching YouTube videos to help get context and stuff. But the better I get at using these AI tools over the past month, the less and less time I'm spending on Google and YouTube. Now, of course, So there are times where you want to Google, where you can tell the AI might be leading you astray or letting you down, and then you do need to do some outside research. I'm obviously going to need to create some tutorials on this, but I mean, if that would be helpful for you all. But it was a lot of trial and error for me. So if you've got the drive and you've got these AI tools, like you're good to go. Now, this was the biggest workflow tip for me ever. Like the thing that saved me the most time, especially in the beginning, was screenshotting. So these AI tools, I'm just screenshotting the errors I'm getting or like screenshotting documentation and just pasting that screenshot into my AI chat, and it's instantly processing it and responding appropriately. So have a good screenshot process. If you can easily take something from your screen and get it into the AI model and get a relevant response, like that has sped up my workflow so much, and just get comfortable knowing how to log your errors. Now, AI will tell you how to do this. It's pretty good at telling you to use, to document those errors and how to access them, but pasting those error messages back into the AI is really going to help you. And yeah, I had a bit of an existential crisis moment after I was like a week into this, and when I was learning more about JavaScript than I ever have in my life, like so fast, I was like, I've been teasing these JavaScript tutorials and asking people if they want to see them, but I'm like, that's when I had the idea for the title of this video. I'm like, AI took my job. Like AI is going to teach you JavaScript better than I'm going to teach you JavaScript. So why am I even needed? And my perspective on that has evolved a little bit since I had that thought, because it does help a lot having the conceptual understanding. Like that's the hardest part for me, at least, with some of this stuff. It's like if I can wrap my head around what's actually going on, which is what I'm trying to accomplish with this video to show to all of you. If I can wrap my head around that, then I know how to ask the right questions to the AI to get the responses I need. And I think I'll show off some examples of some prompts I'm using. But again, I'm recording this kind of last minute before I head out for my birthday week. If y'all really want to dive deep into something, I can do more specific tutorials. But yeah, so let me know if these are still needed, especially if you start playing around with coding based on the stuff we're talking about here. Okay, we talked about that. I think this would be a good time for me to show you how I actually am getting the YouTube videos into this vector database, because that was honestly one of the hardest parts of this whole process. Like creating the actual chat interface was quite easy. So let's see here. I'm actually going to demo what that process looks like right now. So I made this really basic, this really isn't pretty, is it? But I made this really basic database. This is only living on my computer, but it gave me an easy way to kind of manage which ones of these videos I want to upload and which ones I don't. And it's especially important because YouTube has like an API limit, so I can only upload 50 videos per day using this approach. Now what we could do is we could find some videos we want to include that aren't included yet, and I'm going to change this should upload cell to true. So we have some workshops. Let's see. I think some of these are shorts. Like I could have also had a duration column because I don't know if I want to include like short videos here. But yeah, this is basically just the database of all of my videos. So I'm going to just find a few of them. YouTube keyboard shortcuts sound helpful. I think some of these are shorts. Okay, here, the ARCS model of motivation, that will be a good one too. So I'm going to change some of these to true. I'm going to save my changes. Then I'm going to go over here into my code, and I can run a command. So I think it's npm run add jobs. So let's run that. So I added the job for those videos, and now I have this other file over here that just started processing them. So let's take a look at this process video route. This is what's being used to process those videos. So what we're doing is we're taking the video URL, okay? It's actually even more complex because I have that like worker process going on. I don't know how in the weeds I want to get about this, but yeah, we have this database. We have this added jobs function. So it goes through that database and looks at ones where should upload is true, but uploaded is false. So you saw me just change some of those to true. And then for each one of those videos where this is the case, it will add it to this worker job file. So this is running on my computer. It's always ready. And whenever it gets one of these new videos, it's going to take the URL. It's going to then send this URL to an API endpoint that I built to actually pull the transcript from that YouTube video. So it's getting my full transcript. The transcript is in a format like this that you can see at the bottom of the screen. So it's such tiny little chunks, okay? Is immersing them in storytelling. This is where you can really highlight the characters' emotions and actions. So we're seeing a little preview of what the data looks like at this point. And just to show you what this code is accomplishing, we need to get that code to this point where it's a whole, chunk like this instead of a really tiny chunk like this. So we get that whole transcript. We basically combine it into one big piece. And then we need to process that transcript. Okay, so it's all combined here. We have all these segments in a big array. And then we need to process it, okay? So to do that, we're using this, this Pinecone.JavaScript. Oh no, we're using this transcript one, okay? So we get this big object with all these different little things like this, and then we're gonna analyze it, okay? So we're gonna take the segments and the metadata, and we're going to run it through this AI prompt. So I'm actually using another AI model at this point of the process. So I say you are an expert summarizer and you specialize in preparing video transcripts for Devlin, Peck's RAG database. So that's like what this process is. What is it? Retrieval, augmented generation, something like that. So this is a good keyword to look at if you're interested in building something like this for your own org or for your own personal project. So I give it this really specific context, and then I say analyze the video transcripts and identify the main topics and speakers, determine the value that the audience will get, take note of the key takeaways, so on and so forth, and then write detailed summaries for each chunk of the video, being sure to include key information from the transcript. These summaries will power the vector search. So that piece right there is really important, and that made this chatbot way better because at first I was trying to power it with the raw text I was speaking. So I was just like saying, okay, take 1,000 characters of my text and make that one of the chunks. And if you've watched many of my videos or even maybe watching this one, you can tell sometimes I ramble a little bit, sometimes I don't enunciate clearly. And that was all getting picked up in, that's not going to be very great source vectors for people asking questions, as you can imagine. So I eventually found my way here where I'm letting AI take my raw transcript and then turn it into a format like a nice value-packed summary that's what the user's query will be getting matched up to when they query the database. So this is the type of thing where I would only learn this getting really in the weeds on a project like this and seeing the value of doing something like this. So I've just had a lot of fun working on this project, but let's dive back in. So then I give it some guidelines, and then I say you must respond in this exact JSON format. So this is just a nice code-friendly format. We're going to give it the full summary of the text, the start seconds, and the name of the speaker. So we're using AI to process this transcript for me, and then we are turning it into a vector. So you'll see this again. We're using this. Oh no, that's not what we're doing here actually. My bad. I'm getting ahead of myself. We're using 4.0 mini here to analyze this transcript. This was important too, right? I was trying to use GPT 4.0 here, which is more expensive. There are lower rate limits, so you can't send it as much stuff at once. So I was having my function like timeout and whatnot, and I was going to have to like break it down into batches. But instead, I tried using this significantly cheaper model 4.0 mini, which I've heard is good for things like this, where it doesn't need to be very creative. It's very predictable kind of work, which in this case, all it's doing is summarizing based on some additional info and like categorizing who a speaker is. So quite easy there. Well, it looks like I'm missing. Oh, no, I'm not. Okay. So So yeah, 4.0 mini worked great, long story short. And then again, we're using a low temperature because we don't need it to use a lot of creativity here. We want it to be aligned with the stuff I'm actually saying in the video. So yeah, so that's how we get the response from there. And then let's see, are we doing anything else? We are creating embeddings here. So here's the full function of what's happening when we want to process the transcript, right? We analyze it with GPT-4o mini. Then we are getting embeddings. So how are we actually doing that? Get embedding. I must have a get embedding function. Oh yeah. So here's this get embedding function. It's using this text embedding 3 small model. I showed you that when we were using the same model to turn the user's query into embeddings, but we do this again here because if we just upload this to the vector database, one, it wouldn't even let us, and two, we're not going to be able to use it for that semantic, we wouldn't be uploading this. I'm confusing myself now. We wouldn't be uploading the results of this, right? If we can't just upload the content, we need these embeddings because that's how we do the semantic search. So again, that's why we are getting those embeddings there. And then, yeah, we're putting it into a final friendly format with all of this rich metadata. And then let's see if we go back to our process video route. You know, again, this is getting pretty technical. Feel free to skip some of this. I know it might be in the weeds for some of y'all, but yeah, we like getting technical sometimes. Okay, so processing this transcript, we just showed you that. Now we need to actually upload it to Pinecone. So I have another helper function over here that actually takes it and uploads it into this vector database I've been showing you. Nothing super important there. And then from there, we're good. So, and then we can see down here at the bottom, our job was done. So we could probably ask it a question now about something more specific to those videos we just uploaded. And we should be able to get responses now. So every day I'll do another 50 until we have all 300 plus of these videos on there. But that is how this has been powered. So yeah, pretty exciting. It's been a journey. And I'll show you where I kind of want to take this, or I'll give you an idea of where I want to take this. I'm also going to share some coding tips with you. Okay. So let's take a look at it. So the coding tips. So I would suggest using OpenAI's O1 or O3 mini high model for developing your conceptual understanding and overall plan. Now this stuff moves fast. O3 mini high came out while I was, over the past few weeks, and I kind of switched over to it from O1, but these ones are really good because they're really good at thinking things through and giving you a detailed outline of like everything you're going to have to learn to accomplish what you want to accomplish. I think I have some examples pulled up, or I thought I did. Oh, here we go. So here's one of my chats with O3 mini high. Oh, did I say 3.0 also? Oh, no, O3. Okay, we're good. So you're a world-class software engineer who specializes in helping beginners create secure, scalable web apps. I try to do that just to have it explain things to me nicely if it's something I don't understand. I need help creating a web app called Devlin AI, an AI assistant for instructional designers. Here are my ideas/requirements so far. I tell it the code stack I'm using and the host I'm using. I'm telling it what I'm thinking about using for authentication and database management. I talk about what I want possible here, users to log in, see a screen with different tools, and then I can build out these different capabilities. So you can tell I'm trying to give it as much context as I can. I'm giving it ideas about things I'm thinking about, and I'm asking for a detailed plan for how I can accomplish this, along with pros and cons when I need to make a choice. Okay, so and this is kind of like the direction I'm heading. I'm going to want to build this like front end for it with user accounts so that anyone can create an account and start practicing with these AI tools I'm building. And I can start building them for different parts of instructional designers' tasks, not just questions that people would ask based on our YouTube videos. Like I want to be able to build models that go deeper. And here's another one. This I think is one of the first. Oh no, this is just something recent. Okay. You're a software engineering coach who specializes in simple, secure back-end communication. I currently have an API endpoint that takes one of my YouTube video URLs and runs functions on it, blah, blah, blah. I need to create a system to pull all of my YouTube videos, decide which ones I want to include in the database, and then process the videos with my endpoint one video at a time. So this might sound like gibberish to some of you. That's okay, but these are the type of prompts I'm using to kick things off, and you can see how long this chat is. So I'll get working code from these kind of chats. I'll eventually switch it down to 4.0 to just because 4.0 is pretty decent. I only need to use these big models for laying out the initial plan and kind of setting the tone for the direction we're moving. And then I want to show you something else that I do. So I read through this huge plan. You can see it's like massive. So and then I'll start writing questions in just a list of big questions. And I accidentally press enter here. Usually I try to get a list of questions like this long. So as I'm reading, I'll just be like, 1, what is this? And then like 2, what is that? And I'll just literally ask all of my questions. If it's something I don't understand, I ask it. And yeah, I've learned so much this way. I Google something if I want to learn more, but this has gotten me so far. And then once I'm feeling comfortable in here and I know the plan, I'll maybe develop some initial code in Claude Sonnet 3.5. So this is where I go when I actually want to write the code. So Claude Sonnet 3.5 is really good at writing code. So you're a professional software engineering coach who specializes in helping people who have e-learning development experience set up serverless functions. What's the best way for me to create a serverless function? I think this is the very first chat I had with Claude related to this project. So this is where I was, I think 25 days ago, and here's where we are now. So yeah, it is insane what you can learn about coding with the AI tools available to you these days. And then again, so Sonnet 3.5, I also hooked that up to Cursor here. They let you kind of use whatever AI models you want. So I use my API key for 3.5 Sonnet, and now I can ask it questions. This thing will write code for me. It will, I don't really have something planned to update right now, but if I said like update my code to do X, Y, or Z, and then press submit, it's going to start chatting over here and actually making changes to my code that I can then either approve or deny. I don't want to mess anything up, so I'm not going to do that. But yeah, check it out. Cursor. I think Klein is another one. I've been hearing good things about this, but I haven't actually tried it myself. But yeah, this brings the AI right into your development environment. You can give it access to the different files in your project so it can see exactly what you're doing and it can identify exactly what's going wrong. So as you're getting into more complex projects, like that tool set really changed the game for me a little bit. So yeah, my next steps, I just opened up this bot to boot campers. So we'll see how people play around with it. I don't want to release it super widely yet, just because I don't know how great it's going to be, and I want to iterate on the prompt if needed. I also want to do a security audit. AI is pretty good at that. Like when I set up this N8N instance, I was pretty nervous about it because I was like, okay, it's running on my own server. Like I feel like kind of like how much do I need to do to make sure this is secure? So I spent a lot of time going back and forth with AI and with some supplemental research just to make sure it was good and no one could like get access to information on the server and whatnot. And again, learned a lot about that. So we'll probably do that with my current app before bringing it public. I also want to build a function so that every time I upload a new YouTube video, this process happens automatically and it auto gets added to this vector database. And then, yeah, like I said, I really want to build this secure chat interface so that anyone can create an account and start playing around with these different tools that I'm going to be creating, because I have a feeling I'm going to be creating more of these. Yeah, my next point here, I want to build more AI tooling for myself, my team, and all of you. I can't even communicate how many different ideas I have for how to use this technology. It is wild, like, yeah, just how much more precise you can get. Coding it yourself like this, and being able to have it take actions like respond to comments, review stuff. So yeah, my reviews on AI, it was complicated this past few weeks. I had a moment where I felt like I was getting replaced, like I told you about. That's when I had the title of this video. I'm like, why do people need YouTubers anymore when we have like a 24/7 AI chatbot that's an expert in anything we need it to be at our fingertips? So I think that's a very real thing that's happening, especially for content creators like me, where it's like, I want to help you do things better, but part of that is telling you, hey, AI might be able to help you do things better than I can help you do things better. And that's why I want to build out these more custom tool sets to create more, AI that I think will give you a leg up over using like a base model. So that's what I'm interested in right now. AI is another tool to amplify our impact, right? Like even creating these AI agents and stuff who can take actions like real employees can. If you're comfortable using the AI technology to save time and stuff, like I think there's going to be opportunity there for you. Maybe I put myself out of a job as a YouTuber, but maybe my AI assistant will be loved by all. So yeah, times might change. Sometimes might look a little bit different, but I feel more confident than ever personally with how I'm standing in relation to AI. And I think that is directly aligned with the upscaling and focusing on an ambitious project like this. Yeah, overall, very excited by what's possible, eager to help people build their AI skills, because I've been thinking about that a lot too. I'm over here giddy at 2 a.m. about figuring out this, complex coding task that would have seemed impossible to me a few months ago, or even a month ago. Well, it wouldn't have seemed impossible to me because I knew I had AI, but yeah, I've been able to learn so much so quickly, but it's because I have access to to the top AI models. I have a really solid grounding in like English language, and I can communicate what I'm looking for well. So I feel like the chasm between people who are using AI and comfortable using AI, and the people who aren't able to or aren't for any reasons, some which may not be their fault at all, like that chasm is only going to be growing. And yeah, so it's not. Yeah, so I guess I feel nervous too, uneasy, scared about the overall direction of AI. Yeah, the disregard for safety, copyright, IP, equity, like it's definitely going to be shifting things up, obviously, as any huge technological innovations do. It doesn't seem like the governments or corporations have any real meaningful intent to slow things down in the name of like considering how it's going to impact people. It seems like every new week a new safety researcher gets, quits from OpenAI, for example. So that makes me uneasy, but personally, I'm feeling pretty good. I am feeling excited to, share with you all what I'm learning to help you feel pretty good, because I know even when I'm not, even a month ago when I wanted to be doing this stuff but didn't really have the bandwidth to, I'm feeling uneasy too. I'm like, I know there's this technology out there that could be replacing me. I'm not using it. And then, go figure, then I build an AI project that's designed to replace me in some way. So we'll see. I'll be curious to see your feedback. If you drop a comment on this video, we'll run it through the bot. We'll post it on the community here, and we'll post the full response. So again, this will be going live on my birthday. So I'm going to ask my team to do it. I'm sure we'll be able to get to them. If not, when I get back in office, I'll definitely go through every single comment on here, every question on here, I should say. And I'll run it through the bot, and I'll let you know what it says. So stay tuned for that. Also, huge update. We finally submit our application to become a licensed career school. So I know some of y'all have been staying up to date on that. We're hopefully forming this career school, Peck Academy. We're creating this certification program to become an instructional designer. So we're hoping to start offering that in the summer. We submit this multi-100 page document. It's been a ton of work for those of you who have been updated on it, but yeah, so we're definitely staying busy there. Stay tuned for those updates. And then again, I like to keep y'all posted on my mental health journey here. It can be tough for me to talk about, but yeah, I haven't been doing the best. A few months ago, I was like, I'm going to commit to doing these weekly YouTube videos again. And I was, and it was really fun. We dove into a lot of AI stuff, but it definitely takes a toll doing the weekly YouTube videos, the 2 or 3 live events a month, having to be on that often. It puts on a lot of pressure. So yeah, I've been taking a couple of weeks off from the YouTube videos. I've been working again a lot on this project and into the night until 2 or 3 a.m. in some cases, because it gets really addicting. But yeah, when I'm excited about something like that, it's easy for me to kind of just not really stay as in touch with how I'm doing and whether or not I need some rest and to take it easy. I definitely have that strong pusher part, maybe led in part by fear, in part by just being really excited about getting something ready to share with you all. I was thinking about this video for the past 2.5 weeks. I'm I can't wait to get this out there for people. And it's really fun and exciting in the beginning, but then as we get closer to the deadline, because I want to take next week off, I'm wait, I actually have to get this video done. So then it starts feeling like pressure where I'm oh, I'm feeling I have to work on this tonight instead of I'm doing it because I want to. So that's been an ongoing thing. I've been having some days where I'm feeling depressed. I've been having some anxiety flares, especially from not sleeping well. So yeah, I'm going to be trying to keep working on that. Just keep that journey going and getting the help and support I need there. But As part of that, I don't know if I've said this directly already or if it's been implied, but I'm going to be taking next week off for my birthday. If you're watching this when it goes live, you'll be watching it on my birthday, February 18th. I'm turning 30, so I'm going to celebrate by trying to relax and take it easy. So if you want to celebrate with me, maybe you can do that as well. Do something for yourself, right? Treat yourself, get a massage. If not that, then just take it easy. Maybe for a day, maybe for a few days, but that'll be the best way to celebrate with me, I think. So that's all I've got for you. Again, drop a comment. We'll test that out. Let me know your thoughts. If there's any part of this that was confusing, I'll answer it from Devlin the human and not the bot. And I just want to help y'all get up to speed on this, and I'm happy to create more videos about any aspect of this you'd like. I think my next video will probably be an introduction to JavaScript for instructional designers, just to help y'all follow along a bit more with some of the more technical stuff I'm doing. And stay tuned for this project from Sabrina, because I think that one's I'll ask her to do a detailed walkthrough of how she built that one. And yeah, if some of y'all are interested in this, if you're in the bootcamp, like we're doing these weekly workshops where we dive into more of the technical stuff, we're finally starting to review JavaScript in those workshops. So yeah, I'm excited. We're pushing the boundaries of what people think of when they think of e-learning. And if you want to get involved with that, yeah, shoot me a message, shoot me an email, and let's do cool stuff together. All right, I'll see you in the next video.